Morning, guys. It's me, Sandra, TTC 45, and I am just coming to you guys with a follow-up from last week because you guys have been so gracefully praying for me and praying for my little sticky bean. I wanted to update you guys on what has been going on over the last couple days. So the last video I uploaded, I let you guys know that my levels, third beta levels, had increased, and the doctor was really happy about that. However, I noticed that my yolk sac was small, and from what I read through Google, a yolk sac for a 5-week baby, 6-week baby, needs to be at least 2 millimeters or larger, but less than 6 millimeters. Mine was less than 1, so I was concerned about that, and everything that I read about a small yolk sac stated that it was a non-viable pregnancy. So of course I became very concerned about that, and I addressed the concern to my fertility doctor. He wasn't really all too concerned because he said that my numbers looked good, so he's not going to really worry about it at this point. They're just going to keep monitoring me and see how things go. So I just said okay, and I tried to just move forward with it, thinking, okay, my numbers look good. I had a couple of my TTC sisters who were supporting me and was saying, girl, you are very pregnant, your numbers look good, don't worry about anything. But I just still had that nagging feeling that something was not right. So I found this clinic out here near where I live. It's a pregnancy center, but they also do free pregnancy tests and they do free ultrasounds. So I took advantage of the free ultrasounds, and I went in hoping that I can get a second opinion, hoping that they can reassure me that the baby was fine and that the yolk sac was fine. So when I went in, they first started off doing a belly ultrasound, and she can see the yolk sac. I mean, she could see the gestational sac, but she couldn't see the yolk sac. So then she had to switch over to the vaginal ultrasound, and it literally took her nearly 10 minutes to find the gestational sac when she went vaginally. I don't know why. I mean, she was down there for a long time. I was becoming very uncomfortable. She was, really trying her best to find it. She's like, I can either keep trying or you could come back in a week. But I had to know, so I went on here and let her keep trying, even though I was very uncomfortable. And she could see that I was uncomfortable. So she's like, all right, honey, I'm going to give it one more minute. If I can't find it, then you'll just have to come back next week. So right when she was getting ready to give up, she finally found it. I was like, oh geez, thank God. And so when she found it, she saw the yolk sac. Now the yolk sac on her screen looked perfect, and I wanted her to measure it, but unfortunately the type of ultrasound machine she has could not measure yolk sac. It could only measure the gestational sac. It can measure the baby. It can measure the heart rate. It can measure everything that has to do with the baby, but it cannot measure the yolk sac. So she wasn't able to measure it. She did feel that it was perfect for, my gestational age. And what was even more exciting is that she was able to see a fetal pole. Now, just the day before, I was at my fertility clinic and they didn't see a fetal pole. All they saw was a yolk sac. And at that time, I was 5 weeks and 5 days, I believe. So when I went to the pregnancy center, I was 5 weeks and 6 days. So anyway, she was able to see the fetal pole, she was able to see the heart rate, and she measured the heart rate at 97 beats per minute. Then I left there with all full hopes, like, okay, everything is fine. Even though I wasn't able to get the yolk sac measure, I felt confident that, everything is going to be okay. I knew I wasn't 100% out of the woods because by this time I'm getting close to the time that I found out I had the subchorionic hematoma when I was pregnant with Pebbles. So I'm getting afraid of that now. So later that day I started spotting, but it was only when I wiped and it was brown. So I was like, okay, I think history is about to repeat itself. This is still 5 weeks and 6 days. The next day, I was 6 weeks in 0 days, just 6 weeks that day. Now, when I found out I had the subchorionic hematoma with pebbles, I was 6 weeks and 1 day. You guys recall that I went for the yolk sac check, and then the following week I was supposed to go back for the heartbeat check, but before I can even make it back, I ended up in the ER. And so I was thinking that if I was gonna get the subchorionic hematoma again, the same thing was gonna happen, that I would probably end up at the ER before I end up back Tuesday, back at the fertility clinic. And that's exactly what happened. The next day, Thursday, which was Thanksgiving Day, I started cramping real bad. And when I would go to the bathroom and I would wipe, this time the spotting turned bright red. It wasn't like the day before where it was brown. This time it was bright red. I said, okay, I think it's getting ready to start. So of course, this being Thanksgiving, all my kids are coming over. I'm still cooking the last minute foods because I was out shopping Wednesday, so I didn't get a chance to get everything done. And throughout the day, the bleeding was just increasing. I said, yep, here we go. This is just how it started off with pebbles, the same exact way. Every step of the way, it started the same way. And then I had one large clot that fell, which was good because the last time with pebbles, I had about 2 or 3 clots that fell. Matter of fact, the last clot that fell at the hospital ER. I had about 2 or 3 clots. I was bleeding so bad with pebbles that when I went to urinate, the urine cup was just bright red. You know, you couldn't even tell it was urine. But this time, it wasn't as bad. This time, when I made it to the emergency room and then I went to the bathroom, my urine looked like urine. I mean, I'm sure there was blood in it, but you really couldn't tell it was blood in it. It just looked like dark urine. And when the doctor first examined me and she pulled her hand out, really wasn't that much blood or nothing on her. So it was a whole lot better this time than it was with pebbles. When it was with pebbles, man, I was just messing everything up. I was bleeding so bad. I just knew that I had a miscarriage. So it really shocked me to the core when I went to the back and had the ultrasound and found out that the baby was alive and well and even had a heartbeat. I mean, I was like, wait, what? And that's when I found out about the subchorionic hematoma, something that I had never heard of. But one thing I learned from that, being a part of the support group for that type of condition, is that it is very common in women who've gone through IVF treatments, and it's definitely common for women who have had it previously. So since I've went through IVF transfer and I've had this previously, I knew that the likelihood of me getting this again was greater. So I had no worries. Or concern at all. I've gone through this already. I'm calm, cool, and collected. So I goes to the emergency room just to put my mind at ease. I didn't even know if I wanted to go to the emergency room because I knew they couldn't do anything for me. The only thing the emergency room can do for you is to refer you to an OB and to give you reassurance that everything is okay. So I think that's the only reason why I went. I went because I needed that reassurance that everything was going to be okay. So I go to the emergency room and they do an ultrasound at the emergency room, and she was taking so long with the ultrasound, and I could, see her measuring and everything. I just knew everything was fine. I still had no worries or anything. So, of course, when you go to the emergency room, the ultrasound tech never let you see the screen, and they never tell you what's going on. You always got to wait for the doctor to come talk to you. So when the doctor came in, she was like, okay, so I've talked to the OB doctor that was on call, and she said she's going to have her nurse to give you a call and have you to come in so that she can reevaluate you. She said because your HCG levels is high enough for us to be able to see a baby on the ultrasound, she said, but we didn't see anything. And so my heart dropped when she said that. She said, they didn't see anything. I'm like, you didn't see anything? She said they didn't see anything, so they didn't know if I was pregnant in my tubes or anything. She was like, when you passed the clot, did you see any tissue in there? And I didn't see nothing because the bowl was so red when I passed the clot. Unless I actually, physically picked the clot up, I didn't see anything. So I was like, no. And she said, okay, well, what's going to happen is you're going to go back, you're going to do a repeat ultrasound with her, and she's going to recheck your levels and see if your levels are going up. She said, other than that, we don't have a diagnosis for you at this point. So they did not diagnose me with having a miscarriage because they really didn't know. When she mentioned the fact that I can be pregnant in my tubes, I knew that wasn't correct because I had already had 2 ultrasounds that confirmed that the baby was implanted in the right spot. I just didn't let them know. I just was like, okay, because I'm still in shock that she just said they didn't see anything. Then I made the mistake of asking her what my HCG levels was. And as you guys recall, my HCG levels, my third HCG beta, which was on Tuesday, was 13,991. I can be off. I don't remember offhand, but I think it was like 13,991. And then when she came in there and told me what my betas was, which would be 2 days later, it was 13,500 and something. So my heart really sunk because I'm like, okay, my beta levels just decreased. And one of my TTC sisters was trying to reassure me that everything is okay. Your beta numbers probably decreased because they're using different laboratories, which different laboratories do use different type of systems. So that does make a difference. But me, I just never can be settled. I always got to keep digging too deep into stuff, and that's why sometimes, they say that God don't put no more on us than we can bear. I be putting more on myself than I can bear. I read too much into stuff because the last time I had the same issue, I went to the same hospital. So I don't know if they have a different laboratory since then. That was 3 years ago, 2 years ago. And I went and looked up the beta numbers from when they did it back then, and the beta numbers were still a lot higher than but I guess I can expect that because I was 6 weeks and 2 days versus just 6 weeks. So every other day does make a difference because it doubles. I don't know. Anyway, but yes, I was very concerned. I really had not gotten no sleep that entire night. I had already sent a portal message to my clinic to let them know what was going on, and I had waited for them to respond for me the next morning. Matter of fact, I never slept. I mean, I was at the emergency room literally all night. They took me straight to the back when I got there, but it took 3 hours before the doctor even came in the room. Then it took another 2 hours before they even came and got me and took me to the ultrasound room. Then it took another hour before the doctor came back up in there. By this time, it's damn near daylight. So I pretty much just went home. Of course, I started Googling because I started getting scared because of the fact that they couldn't see a baby. And I'm like, I was just at the doctor the day before. Not only was she able to see yolk sac, but she was able to see the fetal pulse, she was able to see the heart rate. And then I was just at the RE the day before that. They was able to see the yolk sac. Why can't these people see anything? I was like just terrified. So I finally got my portal message from the RE clinic, and they was like, come in right away. So when I got there, I got off that elevator. When I say that line was wrapped all the way around the hallway, I was like, no, I'm not finna do this. I knocked on that door, and I told them when she came to the door, I said, is it okay if I go back and sit in my car and y'all can call me when y'all are ready for me? I said, because I am still cramping and I don't want to have to stand up this long waiting to get up here. She said, no, Sandra, you just come on in. So they had me to come on in. I felt bad because I'm sure a lot of them women was looking like, damn, she just got off the elevator. She get to walk right on in. But I was still a little uncomfortable from being at the emergency room. However, I wasn't bleeding anymore. It was like ever since that last clot dropped, the bleeding just stopped. You know, I wasn't bleeding no more. So when I got to the ultrasound room in my RE clinic, she's like, well, are you still bleeding? I was like, nope. I said the bleeding stopped after I dropped the clot. And she said, oh, well, that's a good sign, you know. And I'm thinking, okay, that's a good sign, because I'm still believing that maybe they didn't look hard enough, or maybe they overlook. I didn't know what was going through my head. I thought about how the day before, when I went to the pregnancy care clinic, it took this lady nearly 10 minutes. She almost gave up and was gonna have me to come back and check it at another day, but luckily she hung in there and she found it. So I'm thinking that this probably was a repeat of that. Maybe my uterus tilted or something, and is I don't know. I'm just coming up with every type of excuse just to, you know, get my mind at ease. And so when I got in there and she told me that there was a good sign that I wasn't still bleeding, I was like, good. I kind of calm my nerves a little bit. And after I got up on the table and she started putting the probe in me, she wasn't in there 30 seconds before she felt like I had lost the baby. She was like, oh, Sandra, she's like, I think you passed it. And my heart just stopped. It just completely stopped. Because she, you know, when she started looking around and she just could not find anything, I was seeing stuff on the monitor, but I don't know what I'm looking at. So she did see something in my uterus. She didn't say what it was, and she was measuring it, but she did see something in the uterus. And but she didn't see no yolk sac, no baby, no nothing. And my heart just stopped, because at this time I'm 6 weeks and 1 day, so you should be able to see something. And I left there and I just completely gave up. I said, you know, it's gone. And I was just sobbing coming all the way home. I was hurt. I came home, I laid down, I went to sleep. I turned my ring off on my phone because I didn't want to talk to nobody. And I got up later that day and I went to the bathroom. And when I went to the bathroom, I just still had this nagging feeling that this baby was still in me. And I felt like something was hiding it, or they just didn't look good enough. I just still had this nagging feeling, because I still had this pressure, just like I've been having since this pregnancy started. Nothing has changed. You know, I do know they say after a miscarriage, your body still have the hormones in it, so you're still gonna feel pregnant. But I've never had a miscarriage before, so I don't know what it's like. From everything that I read, most of the women that have miscarriages, they continue to bleed for a day or two or whatever, and it's been 3 days and I still have not bled. The only thing that I have done when I will go to the bathroom is that I've had brown spotting. You know, I was already having discharge from the endometrium, so the endometrium discharge is usually white. Or sometimes it's blue, because I'm also doing a vaginal insertion of the what do you call that, the S-trace. So now it's like brown because it's being mixed with a little blood, but at the same token, it's not no bleeding. You know, from what I read about how miscarriages are, women will bleed, you know, a couple days, you know, 5 days, maybe 2 weeks at the most. I don't know. I've never had a miscarriage. I was just refusing to believe that the baby is gone. Now, granted, they did not diagnose me with having a miscarriage. The hospital didn't diagnose me with it. The clinic didn't diagnose me with it. They just told me, you know, we'll send you a portal message and we'll probably bring you back in sooner than Tuesday, because I was due to go back on Tuesday for the heart rate check. So they sent me the portal message, and the portal message said the doctor read the results and he wanted me to come back on Monday instead of Tuesday to do another HCG level, and another ultrasound. So at this point, they have not diagnosed me with having a miscarriage. They wanted me to continue to take the medication, and I am trying everything within my power to remain positive. It just scares me that I've had 2 ultrasounds that could not find the baby, and then I've had a decrease in the HCG level. So I don't know if the HCG levels have gone down even further. I guess I will know come Monday, and I hate that this is a long, Thanksgiving weekend that I have to wait till Monday to get here. But I am just, my mind is all over the place at this time because I really don't know what to think. I'm trying to remain positive. I just don't feel like a baby is gone. A lot of the videos I've saw of women who have had miscarriages, they said they knew that they was no longer pregnant because they could feel it. I don't feel that my baby is gone. I still feel exactly the same. And I went shopping with my sons for Black Friday. I couldn't even keep up. I had to go back and sit in my car because I was running out of breath. But again, they were saying that, when you just had a miscarriage, you still have that same exhaustion and all of that stuff. So, I can't really say if that mean anything or if that just say that I still had the hormones in the system. I did read that when you have a natural miscarriage and you're in your early weeks, the HCG level should get down to 0 by the 5th day, no longer than a week, you should have it all gone. So I'm gonna check my progression to see if the lines are getting lighter and lighter. Now today I took a test. This is 3 days past the day I went to the ER, and the lines are still darker than the control lines. So it have not gotten below or even at. It's darker than the control line. So that means that it's still quite a few HCG levels in there. How much HCG levels is what I don't know. So yeah, ladies, I just want you guys to keep praying for me and keep praying for my little sticky bean. I just, like I said, I've never had a miscarriage. I don't know what it's like. I'm just trying to hold out on hope. I thank God that I even made it this far. I thank God I still have 3 more tries left, but I was really hoping that I can do a one and done like I did with Pebbles. But even if I do have a subchorionic hemorrhage, that's still a threatened miscarriage. It's not like you're out of the woods from having a miscarriage, but I truly believe that this is what this is, that this is a subchorionic hematoma, and that the reason why they're not able to find a baby is because the bleed is probably so large in the uterus that it could be covering it. Because every time I go back, one thing that I had failed to mention is that she didn't really mention she saw anything in the uterus when I went back to the fertility clinic. However, when I got the portal message, she mentioned that there was a gestational sac. Now, she didn't tell me she saw a gestational sac. Now, I was just at the emergency room the day before, and they didn't even see a gestational sac. So she saw a gestational sac, but she did not see a yolk sac. So that's why she became concerned, because they saw a yolk sac the other day, but now they don't see a yolk sac, but they see a gestational sac. So that's why they became concerned. I've read that a baby and a yolk sac can disappear and reappear at a later date. So that doesn't necessarily mean that that's a miscarriage. That's why they continue to monitor you and diagnose you. Monitor you and monitor your blood work to make sure everything is moving appropriately before they officially diagnose you with having a miscarriage. So I haven't been officially diagnosed with having a miscarriage, but from the way they were sounded, it's not looking good for me. So, but I won't know. I will see. I'm still praying. Like I said, I still have that heavy pressure feeling in my uterus. It has not gone away. Maybe because the yolk sac is still there. I'm not sure, but
incoming call.
I don't know.
Press Uconnect button to answer.
Hold on, lady. Alright guys, I actually just got interrupted by my fertility doctor. He actually just gave me a call and he told me that it just wasn't looking good. He said it's not good at all. So he's not giving me any type of hope at this point. Again, I'm going to hold on to a little piece of hope. I mean, I've already prepared myself in my mind that this pregnancy was non-viable, but I'm going to hold on to a little piece of hope because I've saw videos of women who have went through a similar situation as me and kept going back and forth to the doctor and was told they couldn't see the baby, they couldn't find this, they couldn't find that. They found one thing one time, another thing another time, and kept telling them that they was gonna miscarry, and you know, they levels was dropping but only dropped a little bit, and they had a perfectly normal pregnancy. I've read a lot of success stories of the women in my subchorionic hematoma group who have said that they had been misdiagnosed with having a miscarriage because the hematoma would be so large till it would completely compact the yolk sac. It would be pressing down on the yolk sac, so it would make it hard for them to see the baby. And so they will have to wait until the baby got like about 8 to 10 weeks gestation before they can actually see an actual baby up in there, because the bleed will be so compacted on there. And so the doctors will just believe that they have had a miscarriage and later find out that the baby was still there. They just couldn't see it because of the bleed. So I've saw those success stories. Not to say that's going to be my success story, but it's nothing wrong with having that little bit of hope. Like they say, the faith the size of a mustard seed. Anything is possible. If, you know, this turns out to be a failed pregnancy, I just have to deal with it, you know, regroup and do it again. Once again, ladies, I'm going to keep you updated. I'm going to go back to the RE on Monday, see what they got to say. And then I also have an appointment with the OB that was on call on Wednesday. So I'll probably most likely update you guys after that appointment and let you guys know what is going on. But continue to keep me in your prayers. Continue to pray for the little sticky bean. And I'll let you guys know what's up. Bye, ladies.